Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Jen Ballou, and I am we're creating this channel to talk about um Kyle Gordy specifically, as well as other sperm donors who are like him. We're here to spread awareness. My reason, my why that I'm doing this is because I was a recipient of his. I am currently 24 weeks pregnant with through that process, and I had a very traumatic experience myself. I came into the awareness of his very unethical practices. There were many aspects to it, mainly involving deception, involving, you could say on some level, assault. And I'm here to share a part of some of my story, what I feel comfortable with, and to also bring light to this occurring within the donor recipient communities, within the communities on Facebook, and this option that is a great option being presented to us. For many recipients, there are certain things to be aware of and red flags to look for. So I'll just start by sharing my story a little bit. I am a 40-year-old woman. I turned 40 this past May. Previous to that, I was actively looking for a partner. I wanted to conceive. I wanted to have another child. I have a child already, and for the past 5-6 years, I knew I wanted another one. However, that desire for a child just wasn't working within the dating world with any men I met didn't want to commit. So I started to look into my other options when I turned 40. First by looking into, possibly using a donor through a sperm bank. Something didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel like the right option. And I began looking into the donor conceived perspective. I wanted to understand the perspective from my child's eyes. And I came across the awareness that according to donor conceived people, that the best option is to use a known donor. So that felt much better to me. And so I joined some Facebook groups that were specific to donor, sperm donor and recipients, like a matching, space where you can meet available donors and see who might be a good fit. One of the groups I had joined was, as far as I remember, it was a local group to Southern California. And I had Kyle Gordy reach out to me within a couple of days of me joining that group. I was still feeling my way through it. I hadn't posted yet, maybe had made one response to somebody else's post, like my location or something like that. But it was still kind of early for me to get to that point. He reached out to me, claimed that he was the admin of this group, and sent me some pictures of his donor conceived children. I thought, okay, well, let's see what's here. I was definitely open to finding my match, if that was what was meant to be. I opened up to him, told him, my story, essentially the same thing I just shared here. And that in the grand scheme of things, I am looking for a life partner. But I feel it's time to get pregnant, since my age was, is definitely a factor. So he latched onto that. He fed into that, said, well, I'm looking for a life partner too. And, maybe this could be something. And for me, it was, well, maybe there is the potential of receiving the whole package. He lived local. He lived about an hour and a half away, up in Santa Monica. I'm in Orange County. And so he knew exactly what to say in order to, hook me in, keep me interested in all of that. Of course, at the time, I didn't understand his psychology or what was happening in that sense. He positioned himself as a successful donor with multiple successes. He said he, has his genetics are great, and he takes care of himself. And I appreciated that. Without getting into too many details, I did end up meeting up with him, conceiving. He had made many promises to me that, and I had specifically asked him specific questions, and he had made, said in the affirmative that he was on board with certain things. However, after conceiving, I started to feel that he was not in alignment with what he had stated. And felt like he was not going to step into that role of potential life partner for sure. And so I had, essentially agreed to just be friends with him, with the idea that, along with friends, there would be some kind of potential for a relationship between my child and him, as well as a relationship with some of the other moms that he had conceived with and the donor conceived siblings. So that is where I had left it at one point. The next couple days, probably within 24 hours of, kind of ending that other dynamic. I had come across some screenshots of him saying some very derogatory things about a Black woman that he had had natural insemination with. And this disturbed me. And so I confronted him about it. He said it was fake. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. This sounds like bullshit. I started to reflect upon our previous experiences and to dig deeper into what really truly transpired, as I had not had time to really fully process through it. Everything happened really fast. He shows up. He's your knight in shining armor. He, aligns to your cycle, tells you what to do, yada, yada, yada. And that's how he gets you. So I began to reflect on my experience. I remembered some things that he had brought up regarding a woman in New Zealand who was trolling him or spreading lies about him. But something felt like that wasn't true and that she was actually telling the truth. So I began my search to find Taryn, who's here, who had a wealth of information to share. A little background about the encounters I had with Kyle. Our first encounter was a bit jarring to my nervous system. It was sexual in nature. This was before conception. And, looking back, I did feel that it was, I had said in that, after that experience, it was very much about him. Right. And looking back, it was assault, although very gray, a gray area, because, there were aspects that were consensual and, certain parts of that experience were non-consensual, or I felt kind of cornered into it in some way. I do have a previous history of sexual assault and sexual trauma. So, if you know anything about trauma or abuse, it's very easy for you to fall back into that survivor state, you could say, to disassociate from it, to people please, to fawn is what they call it, and to go into a traumatic nervous system response. Which is what I had, essentially realized had happened to me on some level. With Kyle. When I had found Taryn. She had some information to share, which changed everything about the experience I had with Kyle. Although I knew on some deep level that he was withholding something, and something was, other than the assault, something was off. I did not know what that was. And so I came to find out that he had withheld genetic, that he's a carrier for a recessive genetic disorder, which he did not inform me of prior to conception, that he did not bring up, he did not disclose. And so when I found this out, I was angry, I was disturbed. I had agreed to something that I thought was different, right? And so began my journey into understanding Kyle and what he does, and how he is behind the scenes, and growing my desire to expose him and his harm to recipients, as well as how this also harms the donor conceived children. So that is what I am here to share, is awareness. I just didn't want to get too deep into some of the weeds of what I experienced, but I am available to talk about it. I encourage others to come forward, whether to speak to Taryn or to speak to me about perhaps any experience they may have had with sperm donor recipient dynamics that did not feel integral or good, and any specific experiences with Kyle or other serial sperm donors like him. We are definitely open to speak with you. We are open to listen to your story, and to also affirm your story, and to share more about ours and what we know and what we have learned. So you do not feel so alone. This is rampant within the community and something that needs to be stopped. So I just wanted to give an opportunity to have Taryn introduce herself a bit, and what her role, or her mission now is in getting this information out there, and what she has to offer.
Okay, thanks, Jen.
Yeah.
Like I've said to you over and over again, you're really strong for speaking up and sharing your experience. So I don't even really know where to begin with myself, but I know the donor world because I was searching for a donor, me and my partner. We're in a relationship. We landed up finding a donor and falling pregnant within 12 days of each other, and gave birth within 4 days of each other. So we've got 2 children. My donor experience was amazing. I have the best donor ever, and I'm very fortunate for that. However, with my story of me and my partner conceiving together, that went a little bit viral. And as a result, I had lots of people coming to me with questions about the donor world and all that sort of stuff. And what I did find is that a lot of people were trying to confide in me with things that are happening within the donor community. And I started to realize that there were a lot of horrific things happening. I did try and speak up about a few donors last year, and as a result, I got severely bullied, and yeah, crazy things have happened. I guess we'll cross that in another chat with Jen, and pushed me into hiding. While I was in hiding, I had a lot more people come forward, and somebody did bring to light Kyle's genetic condition. And I set out to find all the evidence and all the proof for this, which I have obtained, and that has been sent to Jen, who is using it to pursue legal, what would you say, legal areas?
Legal action. Yep.
Legal action, that's the word. I've had quite a day today. So a lot of people have been asking, what is Kyle's genetic condition? Kyle's genetic is called familial dysautonomia, right? Is that how you spell it? Yeah.
Dysautonomia.
Yeah. Also known as FD. It is a nervous system genetic condition, and it affects Ashkenazi Jews, which Kyle is very open to admitting that he is an Ashkenazi Jew. So yes, that is the condition that he has. He does know about it, and it is edited out of the reports that he sends to all of his recipients. So my goal is to create awareness and protect everyone so that they are fully aware of what is going on in these communities. We do find a lot of donors threaten and do act on their threats if people do speak out, as they've tried to do with me. I'm sure more stuff is going to happen now with Jen, myself, whoever. But yeah, that's my aim, is to just provide as much awareness as I possibly can.
Awesome. Thanks, Taryn. So, so where do I want to, so first, as Taryn had brought up, I am pursuing legal action. I am in contact with a very good lawyer, a lawyer who specializes in fertility fraud and who is guiding this process. There are criminal legal actions, right? Legal actions to take on the criminal side, because this does fall under criminal behavior. This falls under California law, which is rape by deception, in addition to the assault. The rape by deception is in alignment with him withholding the familial dysautonomia carrier status. So he knows, he is aware, and he is purposely withholding it. He does not let his recipients know. When I asked him for his genetic tests, he refused to give me a copy of his. Well, first he said he didn't have any. Then I had reminded him that he had posted in a Facebook group saying he's had genetic testing done. And he's like, oh, you mean my 23andMe? And I was like, well, whatever you have, please send to me. And he gave me some bullshit about not being able to log in, or he didn't have the password, yada, yada, yada. Oh, it's just traits, but at that point I had known that from Taryn that he did have the health reports done in the 23andMe, and that is what had revealed that he is a carrier of familial dysautonomia, again, which is a recessive disorder. So what that means is if I were to also be a carrier, and I do have Ashkenazi Jewish ancestry, although minimal. And it's something that I did advise Kyle of before we conceived, and he did not think anything of it. He did not bring up his disorder or anything of the sorts, which should have been a red flag to him. Oh, well, maybe she could, but he didn't care. He didn't care. His aim was to knock me up, have sex with me, whatever he wanted to do with me, right? Get whatever he could from me under the advice of he's helping me and he's giving, me this gift. While I am extraordinarily grateful for my pregnancy, and I am so happy to be bringing this child into this world, this has come with quite a process for me, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically. And I questioned my choices, and I questioned how I could get myself into this position in a million different things. And what it really comes down to is he is a highly manipulative person. He knows what to say, and he is a pro at it, and it is systemized. He has it completely systemized. He knows how to get his recipients. He holds complete control in these sperm donor groups, and he knows how to silence people. I have been banned from the majority of these groups for speaking out very minimally, just calling Kyle out on how he engages with potential recipients, questioning his motives, questioning his his practices. And first my comments were deleted, then eventually I was removed from the groups. And he does this full time, so he has complete ability to dedicate all of his time and energy into keeping the narrative going, and keeping things under control and everything hidden. When I also confronted him, asking him about, I didn't confront him completely. I didn't want him to know that Taryn and I were connecting at the time. And he had essentially told me that it would have been my responsibility to have gotten genetic tests. He pawned me off onto another donor, Adam Hooper, who also essentially said, well, you should have gotten your genetic tests done. That responsibility falls on you. And yet these are the men out there donating their sperm, 4, 5, 6 times a month. Right. And bringing children into this world just as much as we are. They have just as much of a responsibility to the offspring that they are creating, whether they raise them or not. It does not matter. That is a responsibility. And to knowingly have a very serious genetic disorder that can be a child can actually have if the mother were to also have the recessive gene. Regardless, these children have a 50-50 chance of being a carrier themselves. So if it does not show up in the next generation, it can be carried on and on and on. And that is reality, and that is serious, and something that I have been counseled on. I have done my genetic counseling, and I was asked to get my partner on board and to have him take tests. And of course, I can't do that because he would refuse. I offered to pay for a test and he refused. So that's that. Again, I am pursuing legal action regarding this because this falls under California rape by deception laws. And so I encourage all of you, if you have experienced anything with Kyle, to also go to your local jurisdiction and to file a police report. You can't press charges. It doesn't work like that. You just file a police report. So they have that on file, and then they can look at the laws in your local state jurisdiction and to see what it may fall under. And it's going to look different state by state, city by city, etc. I've also been advised that this falls under consumer protection laws. So looking at this from the perspective of Kyle is marketing his sperm as a product, and it is defective, and it is not what he claims it is. That falls under consumer protection laws, as technically, as a recipient, you are consuming his sperm, you are taking his sperm, and it is not being represented properly. So that is another aspect to this. And of course, civil law as well, fertility fraud, and everything else that it falls under. Again, knowing what these donors have done to other recipients who have attempted to speak out, Taryn, specifically, her trying to get this information out there. She's been bullied, she's been harassed. They're, reporting videos, they're creating pages, trying to get bad information on her. Which is, again, harassment, putting pictures of her with her children out there. It's disgusting, it's disturbing, and it cannot continue. I have, of course, I am nervous that this may happen to me as well. But again, I will continue to pursue legal action. Anybody who is involved in this will have to answer to legal authorities as well. So I would suggest that you cease and desist and do not engage in any type of behavior that would put me in harm's way, put me and my family, my unborn child in harm's way, because there will be consequences. I will not take this lying down. I will not shut up. I will not stay silent. This not only affects me, but this affects generations down the line. And somebody who is putting themselves out there saying they want 1,000 children, that's dangerous, especially with a very serious, right, genetic disorder that is not being disclosed. It is, we all have our own genetics. There is nothing bad or wrong about somebody's genetics or having a disease. Of course, they have every right to have children and to, make their choices accordingly. However, when it's being withheld from the recipient parent and and therefore the child as well, and there is no choice involved, that is wrong. Plain and simple. Does not fall on the responsibility of the recipient parent. It falls on the individual who is engaging in that act. So, so that is it. We have lots of documentation of what is happening behind the scenes with not only Kyle, with other donors as well. I know I had mentioned Adam Hooper. There are plenty of others that we will be talking about on this channel, that we will be bringing light to what is happening, whether it's whether we name them or we don't. You may speak with us anonymously, whatever feels right to you. We are also creating a Facebook group, which is called The Truth About Kyle Gordy and Other Donors Like Him. We will link that below, so you are welcome to join that group. So you are aware of what is happening, and you can stay in, and you can also share your story, or we will be very carefully vetting those who are entering into this space, making sure that nobody is there to do harm or to destroy, what it is that we're creating. And we are also creating a Sperm Donor 101 group for recipients only, where we will talk about how to prepare for sperm donation, what are the red flags to look for, how to tune into the donor conceived perspective, what questions to ask your potential donor, how to track your fertility signs, right? And this is where a lot of these donors kind of get in, right? Because they come in saying that, oh, they know a woman's body, and oh, they know how to, help you get pregnant. Well, it's time to empower ourselves and to learn about our bodies, so we are no longer taken advantage of, because that is how they work, right? That is how they work. That is how they get you. So it's time to no longer exist within their realm of power and control, and to take our power back, and to find the right donors that are in alignment. And there are good ones, right? Taryn had one. I've spoken with others who have good practices, who are conscious, who are aware, who think about these things, want to make sure that they're doing good in this world and not harm. So that is a little bit about us. Very small little snippet. We will be continuing to pop in, talk about this world, right? The sperm donor world, talk about the underworld, talk about, the positive aspects too, because this is a beautiful option for people. We're not here to say, don't do this, or to finger monger. This is a great option, but you need to arm yourself with the right information and empower yourself and ask the right questions. So just a quick background about me. I'm a doula. I'm a birth and postpartum doula, so I'm very used to supporting people through their journeys. I am very open and receptive to helping people, so keep that in mind. And I know Taryn is very helpful as well, and that's what she's here for. Although there may be rumors saying that Taryn's out there to promote her business, and this is all about, bringing down the donor groups. It's just bullshit. Like, we all have a right to create a mission-oriented business and to have a livelihood. There's nothing wrong with creating a business around your heart and offering something important and coming from that space. And to twist it and distort it is just disgusting. So, none of that here. We ask that you keep comments respectful and understanding, and kind and compassionate. And we hope to see some of you in our Facebook groups as well. Did you have anything to add, Taryn?
Just if you guys are in our Facebook groups, one thing and a very common thing I'm hearing over and over and over again is how these donors have got fake accounts, and they're like fake female accounts and all that sort of thing. So if you do come across any accounts that you feel should not be in the group, or get any messages or any sort of harassments, please let us know immediately so that we can act on that.
Anything that feels uncomfortable, anything that feels off, right? That's your body telling you there's something there.
Yeah.
And you don't have to face it alone. So
yeah, you've got us now.
yeah.
Awesome.
Great. So we will be hopping in every now and then. We will see you guys soon.
Cool.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.